Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the All-Star Brawl. We're in the losers bracket. We've got Solstice going up against Kent State, and tonight this is going to be casted by myself, Marks, alongside my best bud, Spooky. Spooky, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, Marks. How are you?
I'm doing great. Well, you got so much enthusiasm in your voice tonight. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, a little bit of energy, and I'm excited. That's kind of why, it is losers bracket. One of these teams between Solstice and Kent State are going to go home today. The entire tournament, it's double elimination. Both of these teams, unfortunately, lost their first round. I believe against Bay State and Regen, respectively. So both those teams moved forward, and Solstice and Kent State only picked up one map between them, a 3-0 and a 3-1. So definitely a rough start, not what you want to see, but it's time now for redemption. No more second chances. And unfortunately, Marks, only one team can be redeemed tonight. Someone is going home.
Hey, that makes the stakes all the more exciting if you ask me. So is it going to be Solstice or is it going to be Kent State coming out on top? But first, we've got our first map queued up and ready to go. This is going to be onto Lijiang Tower. And Spooky, what can you tell us about Lijiang Tower?
Lijiang's a weird map in the same way that most controls are, because there's 3 separate points and all of them play usually very differently. For Lijiang, you see some hero picks that you don't see as often. You see some Metra, you see Junkrat, you see a little bit of Sigma as well, potentially Rhine Sigma comps on Control Center, which I believe both of these teams actually used in their previous matches. So potentially more of that. But again, Lijiang Tower, it's hard to say. We see a little bit of Thara sometimes. It's definitely one of those control points where every single point should have a different composition. So be ready for that. While you're watching, make sure to vote for your favorite player, the guy who's popping off the most in the MVP. For the MVP interview, you'll find it in the About section of the Twitch page. So as soon as you see someone get a huge 4K and you're like, that's my guy, that's the person we want to see interviewed at the end, scroll down to the About and vote for them, because the person with the most votes, regardless of team, will come on to talk to us afterwards. So if you want to hear from anyone and figure out why they made such incredible or maybe not so incredible plays, depending, make sure to put your votes in for the MVP.
Yeah, so you're going to want to make sure to be paying extra attention as we do get things kicked off around here, because like Spooky said, whoever gets MVP will come into the interview booth afterwards for me and Spooky to ask them a couple of questions about either what went really good or potentially what went wrong. And hey, you know what? Especially too for a losers bracket game, that makes things just a little bit more spicy here. So you're going to want to make sure to vote for that MVP poll down below. But once again, we're going to be queuing into Lijiang Tower. Like you said, Spooky, there are a lot of different compositions that can kind of come into play here. You mentioned some Symmetra, you mentioned some Sigma, you mentioned some Junkrat here. And I'm very excited to see what these two teams are going to bring to the table. I know that they have certain preferences about what types of heroes they like to play, correct?
Yeah, from what we saw in the first match, Kent State really seems to prefer those Reinhardt rush comps, while Solstice, more on the dive side, some Winston, some Ball. I think the only time they played Rhine was actually on Lijiang Control Center. So potentially an edge to Kent State if we see that point. They definitely seem more comfortable on those Reinhardt comps, and Control Center kind of forces it. And we can already see those compositions coming out in the starting picks for both teams with Kent State, Wild Thing on the Reinhardt. They're going for the classic kind of Symmetra, teleport straight to point, rush comp. While we see some different picks coming in through for Solstice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we don't know what they're locking into yet, but it is likely that Solstice, they might be going for more of a classic, or not a classic dive, but with this Wrecking Ball, it looks like they want to play fast and dive into the enemy team.
Yeah, definitely a concentrated dive, which might not work out for them on this point because Kent State's already on it. It's going to be hard for them to get their flankers, their Tracer, their Sombra into play. What you have to know is there's no Cowboy on the side of Kent State. There's no Flashbang to keep these guys in check, but still, Solstice do not want to go into this. They are already making some swaps.
And look at that, the aggressive TP out of the way just to try and get that rush composition into position. And unfortunately, they completely just walked off, and now you can see that they're going to be trying to move back into here. We see Wild Thing just trying to do whatever he can with that hammer, but unfortunately, to varying degrees of his success, Scatman Sean gets the hit pick onto Ran Miyaku, and that's going to help set up this point right now. The rush composition is especially favored with the Symmetra just beaming around here. You can see they also have a Far Mercy. Solstice is running this, and right now they're able to just get so much damage into the backline, already building up close to another barrage. We can see, what do you call it? It's actually going to be Kent State trying to get up close and personal against the team. That's when they're most effective, and finally they're able to push back Solstice, but you know, Solstice, they're going to contest this for as long as they can. Wild Thing kind of holding the door here, trying to mitigate a lot of that Pharah damage, but you can see they're fast to just rotate out. But you know what? I got to give them credit. They are rotating as a team. The barrage comes in, and it's absolutely massive. That is a very quick 3K and a D-Mech. And Spooky, I think Solstice just won that one out.
Yeah, great for Solstice. The way Kent State usually wants to play this is just kind of set up as almost a bunker on point. You teleport fast, you take that positioning, and then use the Reinhardt to keep anyone from touching. You're gonna lose to ultimates, you're gonna lose to poke damage, but you want to get that percentage up first. They lost the point, they didn't get the percentage, and now everything is looking good for Solstice as they play this kind of poke comp.
Yeah, we can see a lot of ultimates on the board right now. The self-destruct going to go into the back. Not able to find too much here. Oh, but that's a pulse bomb. That's going to be canceled out by the immortality field. Now we're going to be having an amplification matrix also on the point. Finally, the shatter comes down. It only needed one, and it's going to be onto Fofi, as that's going to be a D-Mech right there. We got mines on the point as well. Wild Thing just doing his best to clear everything out here. Right now falling extremely low. Gets taken out, and despite the fact that it looked like they were winning, Solstice are able to just turn this one back around. Lambent doing so much work, already has another barrage in his pocket, Spooky.
They can't touch him, Marks. And that's the value of a far-on defense. Lambent doesn't have to use his cooldowns to engage. He gets to play around cover, and he's free to just rain down damage. Nobody can touch him. Lord Hades switches onto the hit scan right now, but they have to convert this. They have to make this work, or it's game over for Kent State.
Yeah, and my eyes are on Lambent. He's going to let that barrage go. Gets Lord Hades. Thankfully, the defense matrix came in to save everybody else, but right now there's a blizzard on point. That's going to force out a self-destruct. Vortex does take Lambent out of the sky. This one is still contestable right now. Seeing this rush composition in style. Goldust trying to freeze people up. Gets taken out by the Tracer in the background. You know, Ran Miyaku has been doing a great job of being on those flanks and taking out those key people, as that's going to be round number 1 for Solstice.
Yeah, it really is the DPS just running away with that. And the lack of the Cowboy for so long means that you don't have the flashbang to stop the Tracer. You don't have the hit scan to stop State. I like the aggressive teleporting to try and catch out someone early and win the fight, but you have to cap the point first, because you saw how hard it was for Kent State to actually come back in since they didn't cap the point off their initial Symmetra teleporter.
No,
Still,
absolutely not.
Control center now, Marks, is the Reinhardt matchup. This is where Kent State should be able to shine, because Solstice, so far we have not seen them like to play this Rhine-based composition. I'm looking at Wild Thing on the Rhine, should push his way forward and really try and get the MTD, the main tank difference on the Reinhardt.
Yeah, and both teams here running mirror compositions. MeatXR getting down into the business over there. Could be backing up. The entire team was just watching him. Meanwhile, Wild Thing doing a great job of kind of holding the front line for his team. We're seeing these Reinhardt start to engage. Uh-oh, Meat is trapped. Thankfully, the immortality field was there, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Now, Wild Thing is just going to be going absolutely nuts. Gets taken out by Ran Miyaku on that Symmetra here. So this is still a very contestable point right now, but right now Solstice, they're getting all of their instruments set up, and they're going to be ready to party. A Riptire coming in for Lambent, looking for a target, going to just take out Scatman Shod. You know, don't give them that speed boost. They don't want to see any of that. But now the Reinhardts have returned, and so this should be a little bit of a battle. It doesn't matter. Solstice have already captured this point, but it looks like everything is just coming up Solstice. MeatXR going for the aggressive charge. Might get punished for it. Immortality field has to come out, save his life. But this is Solstice pushing Kent State all the way back to their spawn.
Yeah, and again, Solstice cap the point before the fight's over, Marks. They've been very good about getting onto the objective, you know, the thing you need to actually win the game,
yep.
and capping it up early. Kent State have been a little slow, a little passive. They've gotten picked early, potentially, but they're just losing the points before the fight's even over, and that's not what you want to see.
And now we're seeing the ultimates come online. Fofi goes in, gets that, but there's actually going to be a sound barrier committed here just to keep everybody alive. The trades are going back and forth. Looks like Solstice might be favored here. Fofi actually coming alive and really clutching that out for the team. Even though there's this photon barrier in front of him, doesn't matter. They just have to make sure that they've got bodies on the point to stall things out. Riptire coming in from Gold Dust finds 2. Okay, that might have just won the battle for Kent State. As the respawners are coming in here, MeatXR is on point, same with Wild Thing. Looks like we're going to get another Reinhardt brawl. Kent State, they have to make something happen here, but with the Riptire coming in from Lambent, looking around, dodges the Fire Strike, but gets taken out by Lord Hades. So, once again, this is Solstice pushing Kent State all the way back. Earthshatter online for Mead. We're going to be seeing a grab come in for Vortex, lifting everybody up, as well as an aggressive... Oh, sound barrier, but hey, there was a shatter there, but it didn't get too much value here. Now it's the amplification matrix, which is going to help Gold Dust put in a lot of work. The picks are right now coming through for Solstice, though, as it just looks like there's too much pressure. There's nothing they can do.
That was all Solstice all day long, and the problem is there was never a decisive team fight.
No,
and that's kind of how the Symmetra contributed to this map. Both teams would get a couple of picks at a time, and then everyone would be coming back with the Symmetra teleporter. It was pretty much just one long team fight that Solstice managed to win at the end. We'll see a little barrage from Lambent. If you like that barrage from Lambent, vote for him as your MVP for the match, and we can talk to him about how he played later. But what it came down to is in that extended team fight, it was just Solstice capping first.
Yeah,
they never wanted to back out because they knew that even if they lost, they could keep some percentage. And with the Symmetra teleporter getting people back into the fight so quickly, as they knew that they could keep contesting the point, and they did. Some Riptires came in from both sides, some ultimates equalized a little bit, but no one ever decisively won a fight until Solstice took it in the end. And, you know, if Kent State took a little bit more pressure, got a little bit more forward, and capped first, they'd be 99% to the 0 that Solstice would be climbing up from. Instead, it's a 100-0 win just because Solstice managed to cap.
Yeah, it was, you know, like when it came down to it, Kent, they were teleporting all around as a unit, but they just didn't look like they had a focused target there. And the rush composition works. You know, you got the Reinhardt swinging his hammer, you got a Mei, you've got a Symmetra beaming people down, and Lucio speeding you into place. But if everybody just kind of scatters when you get into a team fight, then you lose a lot of the value that you would typically get from this classic rush composition. And so as a result, Solstice just looked a little bit more coordinated, and they were able to come out on top.
Yeah, and I don't know what this spells for Kent State moving forward. I've seen them look pretty good on the Reinhardt compositions. I think Wild Thing really is a solid Reinhardt. He leads his team well. But if you can't beat Solstice in the mirror, where I think you're most comfortable on that kind of rush comp, you need to come up with something else. You need to refresh, think about your target focus. Just take this minute between maps to take a breather. Like, just GG, go next. Like, scrub that first map from your mind and be like, hey, we are a rush team. Let's rush. Let's find the target and bowl them over. We're waiting for the next pick. We already do have a confirmation that Kings Row is banned, which could be, I believe that was Solstice's ban, so that is respecting, I believe, Kent State's Reinhardt-based compositions. Yeah, Kings Row is definitely a rush map, I would say.
Absolutely. Kings Row, you know, the home of Reinhardt, which is kind of ironic because you think it'd be Eichenwald, but the rush just works so well on Kings Row because of a lot of those tight quarters. So, especially to Solstice, not their most comfortable composition. Like we mentioned earlier, they tend to pick a little bit more of this dive style, so banning Kings Row just does make sense. I'd like to remind everybody once again as we enter into our next map here, if you want to vote for an MVP, someone's caught your eye, Lambent with a nice little barrage, or anybody else, honestly, then make sure to drop down below in the About section and you can vote in the MVP for the MVP poll. That's the word there. I almost said roll, and that definitely isn't the right word. But we do have our next map, and it is going to be Anubis. So we've got 2 control points coming up right here. Max.
What could be better than 2 CP marks?
Oh,
what could be more fun? Well, but we are going to Temple of Anubis. It's an interesting map. You can see a lot of different compositions. You see double shield played from time to time, especially on that first point. The Wrecking Ball dive does work. It's something we've seen from Solstice. The classic dive works as well with the Winston, and you can make the rush comp work also. It's really a jack of all trades kind of map. I think I do lean more towards the dive style. I think there's a lot of high ground you can take advantage of, which you can't really do as well with the rush compositions. So maybe Solstice has a bit of an edge here, but we've got to see. This was Kent State's map pick, so maybe they have something special for us.
Yeah, and right now, Solstice, they're going to be starting us out on defense. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to be bringing, because it's not very typical that you see a dive composition on defense. More so, usually some poke or rush, honestly, in that first point.
Yeah, the dive could work, but you know, it's very committal. Yeah, you know, like you dive in, you engage a target, and that's hard when you're on the first points defense, because if you mess up, you're not coming back.
No.
The dive can definitely work. There are a lot of choke points you can take control of, but if you really have to play it near perfectly, if you want to play it on the defense, you definitely need a lot of practice. Do want to note that we did have a substitution. Lord Hades is out for Kent State, and we're going to get Scatman Sean in.
Yeah, Scatman Sean going to be on that Ana pick there. And, wait, sorry. It looks like we did have a disconnect, but that actually is just a UI bug, so it's not going to be too big of a problem here. And, hey, look at this. Solstice looks like they're going to be hanging out on this double shield composition, setting up their defense for point number 1.
Yeah, and it's a good comp. You know, it's very strong in the kind of pokey style. It takes control of these choke points that, you know, Kent State have to move through. The Junkrat, the Sigma can really be oppressive, especially with that Zenyatta that they're putting in this composition. The Discord's going to do a lot of damage, and there's not a lot of peel to keep the Zen alive if this bunker kind of falls apart. So it's risky, but you can definitely put down the damage with this composition.
And Lambert starting out with the pick onto Woe, and next thing you know, Wild Thing is going to be falling out of the air. Well, Solstice are looking nice and in charge. Right now, I'm watching Ranmyaku on this Ashe, has been doing a great job of keeping Gold Dust in check, consistently plunking in damage, not allowing that Echo to get anywhere close to his team.
Yeah, and you really do want that Echo ultimate to kind of help break this open a bit. You know, you can copy the Junkrat, copy the Sigma, and just get a bunch of AoE damage coming in to break the bunker. We're gonna see Wild Thing engage with the bubble, but he gets blown up anyway. Marcus, I'm not sure the double bubble is exactly what you want to run here. There's no Brigida to kind of shield bash you, to whip shot you off. Maybe the defense Diva could potentially keep Wild Thing a little bit more alive than the Zarya bubble would, because it doesn't feel like Vortex can actually contribute to this fight.
Yeah, Vortex
and we are going to see that swap.
Just let them get a little bit closer to this bunker composition.
Let Wild Thing stand for half a second up on this high ground. But it does seem like Kent State are taking a step back, trying to figure out exactly how they want to approach this. We are going to see the dive with the nano boost.
Yeah, let's see how it goes, Wild Thing. Looking around, not able to capitalize too much. It looked like he got booped right off the back, but oh my goodness me, that's going to be an amplification matrix with Ranmyaku just beaming people down. Fafi cleaning up those kills, but that was a work of art is what I just saw there, Spooky.
Yeah, and Wild Thing tries to get the dive, but I'm not sure exactly how. It might have been a Junkrat mine that didn't let him actually land on the high ground. But Vortex comes up and gets caught in the trap, and then gets instantly deleted. So the dive kind of falls apart, and the nano is not used where you want it to. Back to the drawing board for Kent State. 2 minutes, and they haven't made a dent in this composition, Marks.
Yeah, once again, that Winston's gotten nowhere close, and Ashe is going to be coming out from Woe, trying to contest Ranmyaku up on this high ground. We're seeing the Winston engage this time, does have Primal, going to be letting it loose. Meanwhile, a bomb is going to be thrown around on the point. Wild Thing immediately falling so low, just going to be trying to dislodge and get out, but it's actually going to be the bomb from Ranmyaku that's going to catch him out of the air. Ran just kind of standing there, having a great time. Just, you know, he's over here just playing aim labs on the high ground.
Yeah, and nothing seems to be working for Kent State. They can't get Wild Thing into position. It doesn't look like the DPS are able to get anything around the shields. They need to come up with something. I'm looking at Gold Dust's duplication. Duplicate the Sigma, even duplicate the Junkrat if you really want to go wild with it and try and get a Riptire off. But you need to break this somehow, and we are going to see the Sigma copy. This might be their last chance. They haven't gotten anything done yet. This dupe has to be big.
Yeah, and it's going into an amplification matrix on that high ground, and nothing out of that duplicate gets taken out. Fofi able to make that happen, but once again, I think the unsung hero here is going to be Joey. Using that amplification matrix has been key in shutting down any of this offense here. Now we're seeing the nano boost come in again, but he's going to just fall out of the air, gets lifted up and taken down, much like Newton Gravity will fall, and this time it looks like Kent State are going to be the ones who are going to be falling out of this.
Yeah, and you saw the fear in Solstice's eyes when that Nano Monkey actually landed. All the Qs got hit. I believe 3 ultimates came in. At least 2 ultimates came out. But they managed to keep onto the Transcendence. They managed to hold the Supercharger, and with 10 seconds left, Kent State are going to mobile heroes just to touch, and I'm not even sure if they'll get that far. The ball falls, the legs fall, everything falls, and that's going to be a full hold for Solstice here, Marks. Kent State couldn't get anything going. I liked the adaption, swapping off the Zarya to the Diva, but they just couldn't seem to actually contest the high ground, Marks. And I think part of that is that Zenyatta pick. It's not too frequent because it is a pretty diveable target. You know, you don't have the Brigida to kind of defend. You don't have the defense matrix either. It's really just Zen out on his own, and you just hope for the best. And it worked out. The Discord is so oppressive that the dive style couldn't even touch him. Like, instead of having to peel for him, they're just like, we're going to create a situation so oppressive that we won't need to peel. We don't need peel heroes.
They say the greatest defense is a pretty good offense. And, you know, that Discord orb does put in quite a bit of damage, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you saw, like, Wild Thing got deleted over and over again. Even with the defense matrix, even with the bubble, it's just so much pressure coming down. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, they made the Diva swap, which is what I would have done in that situation. Maybe go for a Tracer ball style and try and punish the Zen, but it's all in the past. The best they can hope for now is a full hold, Marks.
Yeah, draw this up. It's going to be tough, though, because, once again, all it's going to take is just a single tick, and, you know, right now, Solstice just look like they are in charge. Seems like they are very comfortable in playing this, and we're going to be seeing them potentially coming out on double shields once again, so it's going to be Bunker v. Bunker comp. Here on Temple of Anubis, first point. Oh, Red gets a pick right off the back. That's not going to be good. There. Now you can see, hey, this is just going to be Solstice moving through. Wild Thing has to just immediately just pop that gold. Has to back off point, but already the picks are coming through. Scatman Sean has fallen down, and Ran Miyaku is just making things look so easy as Mead is already on point. Look at how much pressure is coming through here. Rem on the aggressive Zenyatta is just throwing that Discord orb out, and the kills follow through, and that is how you win a map and put a nice little pretty bow on it before you ship it out for Christmas.
Yeah, but this present is not going to Kent State, who falls, unfortunately, 0-2 in a fairly dominant fashion on their own map pick. Temple of Anubis, you're not really expecting the Widow to pop out. You know, you see it from time to time, but it doesn't do that much. Ran Miyaku just completely opens this one up. And absolutely. 30 seconds, Marks. 30 seconds. That's all it took. So, if any of those players impressed you in any shape or way, go down to our About tab underneath the Twitch screen, and you will find our MVP poll, where you can vote for your favorite player, the one who's doing the absolute most to keep their team alive. And we will talk to them at the end. We will interview whoever has the most votes. So if anyone has caught your eye, I already know that I'm looking at the DPS players for Solstice.
Oh, absolutely.
After 2 incredible performances, but if there's anyone else that we're kind of missing, the tanks, the supports that really are looking great for you on either team, put the vote in, and we will talk to them at the end of this series, which may, unfortunately, Marks, come pretty quickly if it keeps going as it has so far.
Once again, this is a best of 5. So if Solstice do win this out, then they're going to be eliminating Kent State from this All-Star Brawl. And they're going to be pretty decisively moving on. But things are not all over for Kent State just yet. Similar to what you said before, Spooky, let's get the bleach out for this one and just scrub that bad mental out of here so they can get themselves psyched up for our next match, because it is going to be do or die. Otherwise, Kent State will be eliminated from this tournament. I do want to quickly highlight somebody here, and that's actually Joey, who is on the support on that Baptiste. I've seen quite a few clutch immortality fields come in that were able to shut down quite a few of those ultimates that Kent State were throwing at them. And on top of that too, the amplification matrix was expertly used to support Ran and really just make sure that Kent State were more or less in a stranglehold, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. The support line did do a lot of the work there, even if they might not have been showing up in the kill feed. I have talked a lot about the Zenyatta, but it is that Discord orb that makes that comp work so much more aggressively than some of your regular double shields. It wasn't really a bunker, as it was just a nuclear warhead blowing up any moment of Kent State. Any moment Kent State kind of stepped out from behind the walls, it was just, they were gone. Yep. So it's definitely a lot of strong plays coming in from Solstice. Really, every member of this team is just clicking. They're firing on all cylinders. And Kent State's last chance is going to come on Eichenwald.
Oh, here we go. Let's hit Eichenwald. You know, a lot of really open hitboxes here. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we did see a Pharah, just because you can get really high up into the air. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to be a good pick, because Solstice, if Kent State does decide to bring out a Pharah, Solstice, they look like they're pretty well versed in hit scan, and that could be absolutely devastating if you are a Pharah without the Mercy Pocket. And even with a Mercy Pocket, you know, you have a really good hit scan, and we've seen Ran play the Widowmaker. Yeah, just bust out the Widowmaker, just snipe Mercy out of the air, take the Pharah out next, and, well, that whole plan kind of falls apart here. So it looks like we are going to be seeing Solstice starting out on our defense again. Spooky, what do you expect that we can see here? I feel like Solstice, they've been sticking to their guns a little bit on what type of comps they like running on defense.
Yeah, they've broken out the double shield. It's hard to say if they're sticking to their guns, because they never had to swap off their guns, Mark.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They were solid on the double shield. And that is something you can see on Eichenwald point A. I actually am kind of leaning towards the Pharah, but on the defending side.
Okay.
I know you mentioned it in context of Kent State, but if Kent State goes back to their tried and true rush comps, we might see Lambit break out the Pharah again and play around the central tower on point A, potentially with a Joey pocket on the Mercy, and just kind of peek his head out from time to time to put down some rockets when nobody can really touch him on the other side.
Absolutely. I totally forgot that Lambent was just absolutely wrecking scrubs on that Pharah. Once again, getting a sweet little 3K with multiple barrages, building them up so quickly, just because the rush composition, well, there wasn't too much that they could do there. But you know what? Hey, we're starting out here with Solstice on defense, and Spooky, I see a Roadhog.
Marks, I see a Roadhog as well. Mead XR is breaking out the Hog. I'm not sure if this is a planned strat, or if this might be a little disrespect being shown Kent State after the dominance that Solstice have had so far. But as Count Dooku once said, double the pride, twice the fall.
Damn, you're really going to do them like that, huh? Well, it's going to be interesting, because Kent State are busting out this Pharah Mercy combo, and honestly, I don't know that Solstice really have any solution for this right now based on their, what do you call it, hero selection. It's going to be off the back of Joey to try and pick him out of the air.
Yeah, with a little bit of help from the Zenyatta, it could be done, but this is a new look for Kent State, and I'm not sure it's one Solstice was, quite frankly, prepared to deal with. Their composition doesn't have a lot of synergy that I'm seeing, at least. A little bit of a bunker. With the Torbjorn and the Zenyatta. But we're going to see exactly how it plays out here and how much value Gold Dust will be able to get. But Wild Thing with an early pick.
Yeah, and now we can see Kent State are going to be moving up on this. Once again, the Discord Orb has been a really big deterring factor from them moving forwards here. Good to see Wild Thing just going in there, trying to get a lot of picks right now. Goldust trying to rain it down, but the Mercy falls, and Joey's just going to pick him out of the sky. Nothing too much you could do there. Right now, Fafi on this, what do you call it? On this Sigma, has just been doing an all-around great job for Solstice throughout all of these maps.
Yeah, Fofi actually zoning out Scatman Sean for a little bit there, and then Wild Thing came back to get in Fofi's face. Just trying to keep his Zen alive, but that opened up the rest of Solstice to get picks. And that's what this composition can do, Marks. Any member of this team can get a pick, and it'll be fast. Like, they're not like, you know, a tracer that has to put 2 clips into someone before they die. They get like a punch, they get a headshot, they get a hook, and it's over. Especially with that Zen Orb as well. So it's a very dangerous composition that can really punish mistakes.
And speaking of punishing mistakes, Mead XR showing that this pick is definitely not a mistake, taking Woe out of the equation right off the bat. Already got this hook ready to go again, looking around for a target, but going to be backing off here. And now Kent State, they have a lot of ultimates on the board. I'd be surprised if we didn't see any in the next fight.
Yeah, they do have the ultimate advantage by a little bit. Let's see if they'll try and push it here. We see the mines coming out. Fofi is low, but he manages to back out, and he's down. This is an opportunity for Kent State.
Yeah, but we're going to be seeing the Molten Core come online for Ran. Oh, takes him out of the barrage. Goldust not getting too much value out of that barrage. He is going to get rezzed and brought back into this fight, but right now this Amplification Matrix has just... Once again, Kent State, they get nothing for all of their troubles there. All of them spending incredibly heavily on their ultimate bank.
Yeah, it's not over yet. Solstice have lost a couple of members, and it's a long walk home. Not going over the edge, I'll tell you that, buddy. But it does seem like he's zoned them off enough. He's sky fishing with the hook.
Yeah, you know, sky fishing, a little bit unconventional, but we're going to see if Mead can make it work. Hey, a little bit easier when they're on the ground. Now, Mead getting extremely pressured out. Right now, the pick's going towards Kent State. Wild Thing just trying to get back into the fight, but Vortex has the self-destruct, and it has Ran picked. All right, Rand's the last member alive on this point right now, just trying to stall things out for as long as possible. Was able to take out the Fire Mercy combo. The self-destruct being tossed out into the air just for good measure. Meanwhile, on the back line, Reb actually got a sleep onto the Tracer. We're going to be seeing the Sigma Flux come online as well, as Solstice are ready to fight this one. They've already made their way back onto this point, and they're going to make this work. Lambert has swapped over to the Cowboy, trying to keep, the Fire Mercy in check over here. Already just plucking in so much damage. Wild Thing falling low, does have the Mercy Pocket, thankfully able to stay alive, but Goldust is about to die. Wild Thing right now, this is the Wrecking Ball show. The hamsters are rolling around on top of both of the teams, but looks like despite their best efforts, Kent State, they're not able to cap it out just before getting that third tick on point number 1.
Solstice's willingness to fight that is insane to me. Fofi actually flew over the wall out of the spawn with the Gravitic Flux to land it on the point. He didn't care about the choke points at all. He just used the passive ability of the ultimate to fly over the wall and land the Flux on points, which is fantastic to see. Ramiaku going over to the Tracer just to contest, but picks up 2 when he gets there, and somehow they managed to flip that. That seemed like Kent State won that fight 3 different times and just weren't able to capitalize, Marks. And now they need to hold first.
Yep.
Kent State have not captured a single point in this series, Marks.
Nope.
And it's looking like it might be a very quick 3-0 to put Solstice back as some pretty frightening members in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Solstice, well, it's not quite over just yet. They do still need to get the same percentage on that point number 1 that Kent State did. So if Kent State denies them from even getting 1 or even 2 ticks, this is still winnable for them. But yeah, based on performances so far, I don't know how possible that is.
Yeah, of course it's not over yet. But if you want to put your MVP vote in right now, I wouldn't blame you.
Yep, don't forget, if you have seen a pop-off performance or an unconventional one that really just resonated with your heart, then make sure to check out down below in the About section for our MVP poll, so we can interview them afterwards and ask them what the heck was going on during the game. Yeah,
we will interview them when the game ends, whenever that may be. We're seeing a ice wall teleport strat into killing the Solstice.
Oh,
they're getting away with it, Marks.
They are getting away with it. This is absolutely terrible if you're Kent State right now, but Mead, once again, just kind of solo tanking here all by himself. Wild Thing overextending by a lot. Thankfully able to get behind the barriers here. The double shield working out, but it's a back cap. That's a back cap. That's going to be the end of that.
The teleport, the ice wall teleport strategy on Eichenwald is going to be the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae that was this series. We are going to see part of the fantastic defense coming out from Solstice with Ren Miyaku with a quick little headshot onto a barraging Pharah, and it looks like he not quite follows it up. I don't think the map was quite long enough to actually get a 2K or a 3K as play of the game, but that ice wall teleportation strat is not something you see every day. I haven't seen that in my plat games, much less in an actual competitive tournament.
Spooky, I'm shook right now. One, that they pulled it off, but two, they were able to pick the Pharah as a result of that. As soon as they teleported up there, they went sky fishing, grabbed it in, and then followed up with a Baptiste to just take him out of the air. And that was pretty much the end of that. Oh, spooky. Oh my goodness. Wow, Solstice just
that was
demolished.
That was a dominant statement. That was not just a 3-0. They did not let Kent State capture a single point.
I don't think they let Kent play the game, if I'm being honest.
They really didn't. Those were what, 3, 5, 6-minute matches?
Yeah.
We started 35 minutes ago.
You're right.
Some 2CP matches take 35 minutes.
I think in all of our history of casting, I think this is probably the shortest match we've ever casted, if I'm being honest.
By far, Marks. Solstice really just showing that maybe their loss to Regen was a little bit of a fluke. These guys are here to play. And I, for one, would be terrified if I was the next team playing against Solstice in the loser bracket.
Absolutely. Solstice just looked so good. Once again, though, it is a little bit difficult to see necessarily what was really working out, but Solstice are going to be advancing, so they're not out of the All-Star Brawl just quite yet. But unfortunately, Kent State is going to be sent packing home because they have been eliminated in the losers bracket.
Yeah, unfortunate for Kent State. I really do think I saw signs of brilliance from them at certain points, especially their main tank Wild Thing. I really enjoyed some of his Reinhardt play, and I'm a little disappointed, or it might not be his fault, of course, that he didn't bring it out as much. Some of the oppressive nature from Solstice, those Zen comps probably would have punished the Reinhardt shield even more than it did the comps that Kent State broke out on. But I really did enjoy watching Wild Thing play the Reinhardt. I thought in his previous match, I thought he looked quite good on it. I was hoping to see a little bit more. But it was just, Solstice's focus on that Zenyatta as part of their composition did so much to kind of set the pace, the tempo, and the aggressive nature in how they played. It's even hard to say that they were aggressive since they barely attacked, but it's a great play from Solstice, and a lot of their defensive compositions were about Rem on that Zenyatta and the amount of damage they were able to put down behind that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly speaking, Solstice just on a player-to-player basis, their players just look like they were able to clutch things up and win things around. And whenever the team fights went long, Solstice always came out on top. Kent State always had a good foot in the door to start running, but unfortunately couldn't get to the end. And we saw that happen constantly as team fights started to drag out. Solstice just able to turn it around despite the fact that they had those initial picks. But we do have our MVP for today's match. And Spooky, who's our MVP?
Marks, our MVP is going to be Mead XR, the main tank for Solstice. Mead, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Did you expect to be in this interview booth so quickly, 40 minutes after the match started?
I don't know. I felt pretty confident going into the match. Maybe not this quickly, but as a team, I think we did pretty well. So yeah.
I think that might be an understatement.
Yeah. Mead, I did. strats coming out from you guys, especially too when it looked like Kent State were going to be able to capture that first point. What did the comms sound like as you guys frantically rushed back to the point and were able to turn things around?
I mean, everyone in the comms was. I mean, we were still looking to just keep that recontest going. Tracer was stalling a point. I was coming back on ball. We were a little bit worried, but we knew we were gonna. If we lost that point, we were just gonna hold them on second, so it wasn't a big deal. We were gonna try to keep the comp as much as possible. Just have fun with it.
You definitely had fun, that's for sure.
Yeah, I love the confidence. Keeping with the having fun, Mark's talked a little bit about your Eichenwald defense. Do you just want to say anything about your Eichenwald attack?
Yeah, we were trying to figure out who's gonna get to play hog between me and Fofi. I got the pick, and then we TP'd up high ground, and I got the hook on the fair, and we just kind of, I don't know what else to say about that attack. We got that fair, and everything fell apart for the other team.
Yeah, you got the hog pick, then you got the hog pick onto the Pharah. It was absolutely fantastic. The ice wall into the teleporter. Marks and I were losing our minds in the casting booth. It was not what we expected to see.
Mead, I'm gonna be real with you for a second. That is the first time I have ever seen that sequence of events play out in an Overwatch game before, and this game's been out for a long time.
Yeah, I think the hog with the sim TP was a little creative. I don't think a hog has ever been up there before, so.
Hog in the skybox.
Yeah, you know,
not what
scary.
Well, Mead, all in all, fantastic game. You played a lot of different tanks. You looked good on a lot of them. I have to ask you, you are in the losers bracket, unfortunately, having lost to, I believe it was Regen earlier. But you put on an absolute dominant performance tonight. How far are you going to go in this tournament?
I think we can go pretty far. I wasn't with the team last week, so I was sitting in today. I don't know what the future holds, but I think we play pretty well, and I think if we play together in the future, that we'll go pretty far in the tournament.
Yeah, right. I could definitely see it. You guys played incredibly well, and I think just the scoreline, the time since the match started, everything really speaks to that. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to your team. And please pass our congratulations on to them when you go back. Marks, do you have anything else?
I just wanted to say congratulations and a little bit of a Mead diff based on how things went last time and how things went this time. But thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, Spooky, that was quick.
That was a game of Overwatch.
Those are 3 maps in Overwatch. In the losers bracket over here, Solstice Esports going up against Kent State, and Solstice just kind of getting the dust mop out, brooming up Kent State, and immediately tying up the garbage bag to go down the chute. That was done, and pretty spotless, if you ask me.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see Solstice continue to move through the lower bracket. Hopefully, they'll be able to get Mead into a few more games and keep his hog prowess. Unfortunately for Kent State, they are out of the Overwatch All-Star Brawl. But, there were bright spots in their performance. It's definitely not what you want to see 0-3 a couple of times. And not picking up a map. It's a little rough, but I do think this team has potential. You go back to the drawing board, get a few more scrims in, and maybe next Overwatch All-Star Brawl, they'll be coming out swinging, be one of those teams to beat, because I definitely feel like they're just maybe a couple months away from being a team that really does have the potential to hang with these guys. So definitely want to see more Kent State in the future, but unfortunately, they are out, and it is Solstice who is the focus today. They will be moving on the lower in the losers bracket.
Yes, and congratulations for Solstice. And hey, thank you for tuning in for this quick All-Star Brawl match in the losers bracket. This has been casted tonight by myself, Marks, alongside Spooky. And you're going to want to make sure to follow the channel because this All-Star Brawl is going to be going on for the next, or not the next, but for the rest of the month. So if you're following this Twitch channel, then you're going to be notified every single time that there is going to be an Overwatch game going on. So make sure to follow the channel, and thank you to everyone for voting in the MVP poll, so we were able to grab Mead into the interview here. All right, that's going to do it for us. Spooky, you got any last words?
No, I just want to see Solstice play again. That's about it. I'll definitely be tuning into that one.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.